a new subject related with the different examples that we wish to consider. And now we are focused on an Adventist home, chapter 59, about divorce and remarriage. This is the subject that we are considering now. We began this yesterday, and we remain considering what in the foreword of the book was also presented to us, according to which principles or according to which ideas the completely book and was compiled. And we realize that it's a compilation of different articles, published works, special testimonies, manuscripts, and letters, that the way how the completely blue book is planned, in other words, how they decided the content and how the content need to appear, is based on the logical succession of ideas according to the trustees, and at the same time also reflection of the way of thinking of the trustees about this subject. So we realize that according to the internal structure of the chapter, no chronological order was respected, not even a content chronology was considered, because we realize that in different cases, as we see here, only considering the first example from letter 8 from 1888 is repeated again near to the end, and is the same letter to the same person in the same date, and is under two different subtitles in the same chapter. For example, the first one is Counsel to One Contemplating Divorce. In the same letter, Separation from an Unbelieving Companion. So this is only one example to clarify to us, again, not following the chronological order according to date and not following the content presentation of the original documents. And we have considered different examples also. The same thought is confirmed when we consider the same order as are in this chapter related to the persons that received these letters. So we realize that some of the paragraphs or some of the sections of the letters that are included in this chapter refers to the same case. We have the case of Harper, and we have three letters related with his case, but from different dates and in different situations and circumstances, but the case was exactly the same. But in the internal structure of this chapter, we find the same case presented in three different titles, as different cases will be. Okay, let us go to the first one. The first that we find here is a letter sent to Dr. Gibbs. It's letter 8 from 1888. Let us read what Adventist home included. We have three paragraphs, and this is under the title Counsels to One Contemplating Divorce. Okay? Your ideas in regard to the marriage relation have been erroneous. Nothing but the violation of the marriage bed can either break or annul the marriage vow. We are living in perilous times when there is no assurance in anything save in firm, unwavering faith in Jesus Christ. There is no heart that may not be estranged from God through the devices of Satan, if one does not watch unto prayer. Your health will have been in a far better condition had your mind been at peace and rest, but it became confused and unbalanced, and you reasoned incorrectly in regard to the matter of divorce. Your views cannot be sustained on the ground from which you reason. Men are not at liberty to make a standard of law for themselves, to avoid God's law and please their own inclination. They must come to God's great moral standard of righteousness. God gave only one case why a wife should leave her husband, or her husband leave his wife, which was adultery. Let this ground be prayerfully considered. Okay. The content is only these three paragraphs. That is what we find in the chapter. The case of Dr. Gibbs is that he was a believer, he became a member, and his wife was an unbelieving wife. She didn't belong to the church, okay? But this came under the title Counsel to a One Contemplating Divorce. And it's clear also from these three paragraphs that this brother was thinking seriously to divorce her wife. What we know when we read all the letter, that the problem was not that the wife some way or somehow didn't have done something wrong, only that she didn't accept the Advent message. That was the reason that he presented for divorce. And he was considering this. And then Sister White wrote to him saying that this is not reason to divorce. And then came the point that is in the last paragraph and in the first. And we will reconsider this now. God gave only one cause why a wife should leave her husband or the husband leave his wife, which was adultery. Let this ground be prayerfully considered. Now, when the people read this, you see here, the testimonies say, this letter that Sister White sent to Dr. Gibbs, that if it's a case of adultery, the person has the right to divorce. Is this what the letter says? It's not true. Okay, show me where is written this, please, in this letter, that if it's adultery, he has the right to divorce. Read me this in this letter.
Divorce, it says break or annul marriage.
Yeah, but this is the point. The people read this and came to this conclusion. But this is nowhere in the letter. Show me where is this in the letter. Only in this section. If we read the completely letter, it's out of question. But, okay, let us read again, okay, slowly. No preconception, only what is there. So, can you please read for us the first paragraph, please?
Your ideas in regard to the marriage relation have been erroneous. Nothing but the violation of the marriage bed can either break or annul the marriage vow.
Okay, stop here. Okay, nothing but the violation of the marriage bed can either break or annul the marriage vow. Okay? So, the people say this means that is adultery, you have the right to divorce and to remarriage. Is here in this paragraph this? Is not. Tell me what say this sentence. Nothing but the violation of the marriage bed can either break or annul the marriage vow. What this mean? Explain it to me. This sentence.
I understand that when there is a violation of the marriage when there is adultery. The couple are allowed to be separated, but not to. It doesn't say that it can be a remarriage.
Okay, here is nothing but the violation of the marriage bed. This means that any kind of sexual relationship, yeah, not only adultery, because there are many other things that can happen. It's not only adultery. Here is not mentioned adultery. Here is not mentioned. And the people see only adultery here. No, here say nothing. But the violation of the marriage bed can either break or annul the marriage vow. Tell me other things that can be included here besides adultery. That is a violation of the marriage bed. So we are adult people. Yeah. Abuse. For example, are people that, and Sister White write about this, yeah? That if they are married, they believe everything is allowed. And they have relationship without the consent of the wife, for example. And this is rape. Because a sexual relationship in the marriage need to be based on love. So you can never, ever force anybody, also if it's your wife, to have a relationship with you against her will, because this is rape. And if you have the right understanding what is a relationship, you will never do this. And if you love this person, never this idea will come to your mind. So, nothing but the violation of the marriage bed. More things. How you violate the marriage bed? How? Homosexuality, for example. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but you can have homosexual relationship without any completely sexual relationship. Yeah. Yes. This is not my class to explain all this stuff. I hope you understand. More examples that you violate marriage bed.
Muchas personas se quejan de que su esposo no mantiene la casa. Muchas mujeres, o sea, que el esposo no trabaja y ellas trabajan y siempre está ese problema en la casa.
Ya, pero eso no es una violación del hecho matrimonial. No. Es una violación de la cuenta bancaria, pero eso lo aporta uno. Una violación del lecho matrimonial, es lo que nos dice aquí. Sister White write about this. And say the women that allow this kind of abuse, yeah, they are part of this. So it's not only the husband part of the problem, she is also part of the problem. Because, okay, she can allow one time because he is more also strong than she, but she is not allowed to, is not, okay, let me repeat it again. She is not obliged to tolerate and allow this in long term, okay? Because she defiled her own body in front of God, allowing a constantly rape. Yeah? And damage the other person because allow the other person to do this. It's a confirmation of this erroneous relationship, toxic relationship. Okay? For example, relation with animals. Yeah? This can you hear this terrible, and it's terrible, but this happened. Violation of the marriage bed. Also incestual relationships, so relations with relatives or with minors, that not imply a completely sexual relationship. Because people then say, no, I only touch her or touch him. Yeah? This is also a sexual offense anyway. So there are a lot of things included in this violation of the marriage bed. Yeah? Now, can either break or annul the marriage vow. So what this means, this other section here. Here is break or annul, annulation. What means annulation? Yeah, they are not married anymore. Not married anymore. Especially in the Catholic countries, you have three options. You separate, you divorce, or you annul. Annulation. For example, in the Protestant countries don't exist this third option from annulation of marriage. In the Catholic countries exists annulation. And if you are Catholic, you write to the bishop of your area. And if this is a problem of sodomism or is a problem of homosexuality or whatever, they give you the annulation of your marriage that is not equal to divorce. Because divorce always stated that you was married in this and this date with this and this person. This is divorce. With a divorce, you are not declared single. You are declared what? Divorce. Because a divorcee is not a single person, it's a divorcee. With the annulation, that is the Catholic Church doing, you are declared single. But in this case, sister wife, don't speak to a Catholic person or not in a Catholic society as was United States at this time, but a Protestant. So this means in this case divorce. Okay? So, can you read remarriage somewhere in this sentence? It's not. If it's impossible to live with this person because the person have violated the marriage bed, you can separate and you can divorce of this person. This is there. We cannot say it's not there. It's there. Yeah? But the element is that the people add the other section that is not there. Because the people think that divorce and remarriage belong together. Don't belong together. So this paragraph explains clearly that are reasons to separate from your husband or your wife when it's a violation of the bed. For example, are women that receive sexual diseases from her husband because he go with all possible women in this world. And she suffered this kind of sickness. We had the case of one sister, already passed away, that she became sick of AIDS because of him. Yeah. So these things happen. It's not an imaginary situation. This is a real talk, what we are doing. That unfortunately are cases that in our church are abuse of sisters from part of her husbands that are also in the church. This is a reality. And is something that we need to be ashamed of. And we need to ask the Lord to help these people to break this chain of abuse. To help them, to overcome, to have the power to say no to all this kind of relationship. With the help of the Lord, we need to pray for this person. Because that is self-destruction only. So, this is in the first paragraph we find this, and then we find again this. God give only cause why a wife shall leave her husband, or her husband leave his wife, which was adultery. Yeah? Let this ground be prayerfully considered. So it's clear that this brother was thinking divorce his wife, but Sister White said, no, you are not allowed to do it because it's not any sexual offense in your marriage. And what we know from the letters is that the problem was that she was an unbelief. She was not a member of the church. And that was not reason in any kind for divorce, and remarriage is not even mentioned in this. Okay, so we have here the first case. Have to do with especially the counseling that we need to give to members of our church that came to church when they were already married. And then only one part came to church. The other person don't belong to the church. For example, Jehovah's Witness immediately, when one part accepts the message and the other not, they say you need to file for divorce. Immediately. This is a principle by Jehovah's Witness. Okay? If both are not, then the other have the right immediately to file for divorce and marry, then remarriage again among the same faith. According to the Bible and according to the testimonies, this is not a reason. Unfortunately, in the chapter, as it is, you never came to the conclusion that the problem of Dr. Gibbs was unbelieving wife. If you don't read the letter, you cannot know. But this is the real case. And if somebody present honestly a quotation as they presented here, the title needed to be unbelieving wife. So that this case from Dr. Gibbs is he was in the church, she was not a member. And he was entertaining the idea to divorce her because she was not in the church. And Sister White expressly presented that is not an option in no case, if it's not any violation of the marriage bed. Okay? So we have cleared this first point. And it's interesting when we go back to our structure originally, we have found 2 times letter 8. And you see that the second subtitle, separation from an unbelieving companion, correspond to the reality of the case. Okay? But this is the second time that this letter is quoted. The title in the first one is Counsel to One Contemplating Divorce. So it's completely out of the question that is dealing in this letter. The same letter with the same subject is used for 2 different cases, and it's the same case. Yes?
With that subtitle, if we read that subtitle and then the portion that we read, and we understand that Sister White is telling him if she commit a violation in the
Sexual area?
yes. You are allowed to
Exactly. This is the automatical conclusion that the people take from this. This is what the people think. And with this purpose is the first paragraph of the chapter. And this is a completely dishonest way to present the quotations. Completely dishonest. Because they know that it's the same letter. They know that it's the same case. And they know also the context of the case. But they use the same letter for 2 different cases, separated without context, as they were 2 different cases. Because the people realize the things this way when they read the chapter. Because the title of the chapter is what? Divorce. This is the title of the chapter. So, if it's not adultery, you cannot divorce. But it's adultery, you can divorce. This is the automatical, logical sequence as we find in the foreword of the book. And we know that don't correspond to reality. Okay? Okay, let us go to the next one. Letter 47, as appeared here. So we find here letter 47 from 1902 under the title Advice to a Separated Couple. Is unknown to whom was the letter sent. Okay? So let us read it, please, as appeared in the Adventist Home. Brother Leo, can you please read it for us, the completely 3 paragraphs?
My brother, my sister, for some time you have not been living together. You should not have pursued this course that would not have done so if both of you had been cultivating the patience, kindness, and forbearance that should ever exist between husband and wife. Neither of you should set up your own will and try to carry out your individual ideas and plans, whatever the consequences may be. Neither of you should be determined to do as you please. Let the softening, subduing influence of the Spirit of God work upon your hearts and fit you for the work of training your children. Appeal to your heavenly Father to keep you from yielding to the temptation to speak in an impatient, harsh, willful manner to each other, the husband to the wife and the wife to the husband. Both of you have imperfect characters. Because you have not been under God's control, your conduct toward each other has been unwise. I beseech you to bring yourselves under God's control when tempted to speak provokingly. Refrain from saying anything. You will be tempted on this point because you have never overcome this objectionable, that of character. Trait of character. But every wrong habit must be overcome. Make a complete surrender to God. Fall on the rock, Christ Jesus, and be broken. As husband and wife, discipline yourselves, go to Christ for help. He will willingly supply you with his divine sympathy, his free grace. Repent before God for your past course. Come to an understanding and reunite as husband and wife. Put away the disagreeable, unhappy experience of your past life. Take courage in the Lord. Close the windows of the soul earthward and open them heavenward. If your voice are uplifted in prayer to heaven for light, the Lord Jesus, who is light and life, peace and joy, will hear your cry. He, the Son of Righteousness, will shine into the chambers of your mind, lighting up the soul temple. If you welcome the shining of his presence into your home, you will not utter words of a nature to cause feeling of unhappiness.
Thank you. So let us see which subtitle we have for this. Advice to a separated couple. Okay? So, which was the situation of these people, according to the letter? So, who explained it to me, according to what we have here? Okay, which is the situation?
A husband and wife who had not been living together for a while. They've been separated for a while.
Yeah, and according to which reasons? Why they decided like this?
Seems like they both had objectionable traits of character that they were quick to speak without thinking about their words.
Mm-hmm. They offense each other verbally.
Yes.
So here we find another aspect that Sister White considered, because in the first paragraph was considering sexual abuse. Okay? in this second case was a verbal abuse, yeah, from both sides, because she mentioned the wife and also the husband. They lost the patient and they offended one another verbally. And then they came to the conclusion that there's an incompatibility of characters. So they separated. And if this situation remained like this, with the time they will file also for divorce. That was the main idea, that will come to a conclusion of this marriage. So, which is the counsel in this case when is a problem of verbal abuse?
To work it out and to join back together.
Yes. So, no divorce. Even remarriage is not mentioned, as in the other aspect. Yeah? So, everyone needs to work out a special relationship with God, individually, so that together they can grow spiritually. So it's recommended to come together. So character incompatibility is never, ever a reason for separation or for divorce, and is out of question remarriage. Okay? So this is the second subject that is here. The first one was about which case?
Sexual abuse. Or
The first case.
Dr. Gibbs.
Unbelieving spouse.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
If one member is not from the church, is not reason for divorce, and is also out of question remarriage. The point that is considered in this letter is sexual abuse. And in case of sexual abuse, is recommended in this first case, if this will be the case, it's not the case in the letter, but it's mentioned that then they separated. It's recommended. Okay? So this second one has to do with verbal abuse. Let us go to the next one. Okay? So the next one is Harper case. We have 3 letters related with Harper case. And this is a special case here. And in order to make short the story, Harper was a eunuch. Yeah? So he was not able to have satisfying sexual relationship to his wife. He was castrated. Okay? We don't know from the information if this happened because of accident, or we don't know the reason why he was a eunuch. Eunuco, ¿sí me entiende? But that was his situation. Now, we have a series of letters in this chapter of Advent Home. We find letter 148, we find letter 40, and we find letter 137. So we have 3 letters in this chapter related with Brother Harper, Sister Harper, and mother-in-law of Brother Harper. So in reality are 4 persons mixed in this point of Harper case. If we go back to our internal structure of this book, this specific chapter, we find that the first letter, let me see here, the first letter related with the case is mentioned from 1907. The next one is from 1888, and the next one is from 1903. So what kind of conclusion we have initially related with the case of Harper? That in the chapter, the case of Harper is not considered chronological, okay, according to the letters, because they are more letters, are a lot with Harper. That was a big issue with him. But in this chapter, we find 3 letters related with his case. Excuse me?
1888, la primera.
Exactly. This needed to be the first one. Then is the second one. Then we have the first one, 1907, and then we have 1903, the last one, and in the middle, 1888. So the first initial impression that we have is that the case is not chronological presented. Second, is presented as these were 3 different cases. But all the letters is dealing with the same case. Let us see what kind of titles they have. They have here, let me see, it's letter 148, Harper, okay. So the hopelessly mistreated wife. This is Walter case, Harper case. Then we have to a deserted husband, is also the same case. And then we have a wife ordered to change this position, not the marriage status, is also Harper case. So here in the chapter with the subtitles, they are 3 different cases, right? Because we have 3 different, say, to a hopelessly mistreated wife, to a deserted husband, a wife ordered to change this position, not the marriage status. So they are 3 different cases. And this is dishonest. Because it's the same case all the time. It's Harper problem, it's Harper case. But it's presented in 3 different ways if these were 3 different situations, 3 different people. So let us consider one by one. A little bit about Harper. So Walter Harper was a member of the church. So he married first Laura, okay? Then, because he was eunuch, how is it in English, eunuch? Eunuch. Then she applied for divorce because that was never a consumed marriage, okay? Never. If the marriage was not consumed, you have the right not even to apply for divorce, also for annulation. It's the only case that also this country gives you annulation because the marriage was never consumed, never was a relationship, sexual relationship, okay? So the first marriage from Walter Harper was with Laura. Then he married second time with another one, okay? And now we find also correspondence not only with the first wife, with the second wife, but also with the mother of the second wife, yeah? The mother-in-law of Walter from the second wife. This is the subject that are included in these 3 letters. If you read everything, this is really incredible, all the story, but we make short. Now, what happened here? Let us consider what is in Advent Home, because it's very long. Somebody have the book here, or the digital? Somebody can read it for us, please?
The Advent Home?
Yes, please.
Sure, what would you like me to read? That advice to a separated couple, or?
Yeah. The first subtitle is To a Hopelessly Mistreated Wife.
Yes, I can read that.
Okay, please read it for us.
Okay. I have received your letter, and in reply to it, I would say I cannot advise you to return to D unless you see decided changes in him. The Lord is not pleased with the ideas he has had in the past of what is due to a wife. If he holds to his former views, the future would be not better for you than the past has been. He does not know how to treat a wife. I feel very sad about this matter. I feel indeed sorry for D, but I cannot advise you to go to him against your judgment. I speak to you as candidly as I spoke to him. It would be perilous for you to again place yourself under this dictation. I had hoped that he would change. The Lord understands all your experiences. Be of good courage in the Lord. He will not leave you nor forsake you. My heart goes out in tenderest sympathy for you.
Okay, so this is to a hopelessly mistreated wife. Harper have not only this problem, but he was extremely cruel. Don't give money to her, not even to buy food. Yeah. Was extremely jealous because the first wife had a very a close relation with her own mother, and she wanted to take care of her mother, to bring the mother even to live with them so that she can take care of her. He was completely against. For days, he don't speak to her, ignore her completely. This is the context why he's here to a hopelessly mistreated wife. And together with all this was the lack of love and a human relationship, beside all this cruelty around the relationship. And then in other letters, she, Laura, the first wife of Harper, that is the case here, write to Sister White, yeah, that she wanted to be a wife that have received tenderness and love from her husband, because are people, for example, that become eunuch because of an accident, but they are married. But this don't mean that they cannot have a loving relationship because of this, because sex is not the only way to express your love to another person. So this is not a limitation to have a successful relationship in marriage. And she agreed with this. But that was even impossible with him to consider any other aspect. My conclusion, and this is my opinion now, is that he was so frustrated because of this, that he was so cruel because of his own traumatizing experience, okay? This don't justify his behavior with his first wife, but that was a case. And in this context, Sister White approved the decision that Laura take and separated from him, and after they divorced also. Okay? So, but when you read as it is without knowing this, okay, your conclusion is that if the wife is mistreated, have right to be separated and divorced. This is what you get from the reading of these paragraphs, okay? Do you have any other impression when you read this?
That's the second one.
No, this is the first wife. Yes.
And did he marry again after?
Yeah, he did.
Yes, we will see these other cases. So we are dealing with one person, one wife that married somebody that was eunuch. It's not clear from the correspondence if she knew it before marriage or she didn't know. When I read all the letters, I have the impression that she didn't know, that he hide from her this reality. But I cannot have any evidence that this is like this. When you read all the letters, you can come to this conclusion. But this is not the point, if she knew it or not knew it. Yeah? The point is that that was eunuch case. So here don't have to do with divorce because of adultery or sexual abuse, but have to do with verbal abuse also, and mistreating. And also, she didn't have even the minimal expression or love and tenderness from him. Not the minimal one from him. So that was like a terrible relationship. And Sister White said, I agree that I will never tell you, this is what the letter says, that you go back to him. Okay? So this is this case. But when you read it like this, the person or a sister that is in the church and feel mistreated and don't know the case, think, okay, this is enough to divorce and to remarriage. Because the problem is that we associate these two things together. And in no one testimony you can put together these two elements. Okay? If it's a sexual abuse, if it's a sexual offense, you have the right to separate. This the testimonies say, and even the Bible says this. Okay? Especially in the Old Testament, if the husband performed, or the wife, any kind of sexual aberration or sexual abnormality, or because adultery is also a sexual abnormality, the person died and the other person has the right to marry it again, because it's not divorce, it's what? Widow. And we forget always these things. Because they say, yeah, in the Bible was allowed. Yes, to whom? To a widow to remarry. This is the difference. So in this case is Harper's problem, and he was eunuch. Okay? Then we have the other letter, letter 40. And yes, this is directly also to Harper himself, because the first letter was to the wife of him. Okay? Now let us read this other one under the title, To a Deserted Husband. Somebody can read it for us, please? Yes, sister.
I cannot see what more can be done in this case, and I think that the only thing that you can do is to give up your wife. If she is thus determined not to live with you, both she and you would be most miserable to attempt it. And as she has fully and determinedly set her stakes, you can only shoulder your cross and show yourself a man.
Yeah. So, what Sister White say here, because we know now the case. Okay? So, he needed to give her the acceptance of the separation and the divorce. Needed to accept it. And Sister White said, you need to accept it. But when you see this as it is, what kind of conclusions the people achieve? If your wife leaves you, you have the right to remarriage. This is the conclusion that the people came with. Yeah? They say, okay, my wife leaves me, so I take this paragraph here, and the testimony say, leave her. And the conclusion is human, logical way of thinking, okay, then you have the right. Because it's under the chapter, do you remember? Divorce. Then your wife leaves you, or in another case, your husband leaves you, then accept it, and you continue your life. And this is an extremely dishonest way to present the things, because don't correspond with nothing with reality at all.
When I read it, I feel like it's all excuses to divorce.
Yes.
It's not.
This is the way as it's presented, and when the people read it, they came to this conclusion. And it's not true. It's not true. Because this is the context of Walter, and Walter was guilty for everything that happened. Okay? He was the one. Now, let us go to the other letter that we find from Harper, and that is letter 137, 1903. Under the subtitle, A Wife Urged to Change Disposition, Not the Marriage Status. Okay. Which is this? Who read it for us?
This is addressed to the same wife, the first one. Still?
It's again to him, but speaking about the second wife. Who read it for us? Yes, please. Yes, sister.
I have received a letter from your husband. I would say that there is only one thing for which a husband may lawfully separate from his wife, or away from her husband, and that is adultery. If your dispositions are not congenial, would it not be for the glory of God for you to change these dispositions? A husband and wife should cultivate respect and affection for each other. They should guard the spirit, the words, and the actions so that nothing will be said or done to irritate or annoy. Each is to have a care for the other, doing all in their power to strengthen their mutual affection. I tell you both to seek the Lord. In loving kindness do your duty one to the other. The husband should cultivate industrious habits, doing his best to support his family. This will lead his wife to have respect for him. My sister, you cannot please God by maintaining your present attitude. Forgive your husband. He is your husband, and you will be blessed in striving to be a dutiful, affectionate wife. Let the law of kindness be on your lips. You can and must change your attitude. You must both study how you can assimilate instead of differing with one another. The use of mild, gentle methods will make a surprising difference in your lives.
Yeah, but only this letter, letter 137, because you have under this subtitle 2 letters. Only letter 137. You have 2 letters under this subtitle. Okay, you see here, we have 2. We have letter 168, and this is another subject. It's from another case. And then we have letter 157. Excuse me, 137. Only this one. I think you read it both, right? So read again, but only letter 137.
The first one ends, I guess, with the second one starts with my sister.
Oh,
There's no separation.
yeah, but they are quotations, that they are 2 different letters. Do you have in your version or no?
No, in our version it looks all just like one. So, I don't know, it's hard to tell where one letter starts and...
Yeah, this is the problem. Yeah, yeah, because they are two letters here. Yeah. Somebody have another hard copy?
I could,
Yes, please. This is another point that brings confusion. Yeah, it's all put together, but they are 2 different under the same subtitle. It's not at the end of the chapter? No. Okay, we are going to introduce a break now until we find this, because now is the time, and we will continue. So let us close now.